Hello and welcome to our practice video for multiplying and dividing in word problems. To get started, let's review our word problem strategy. This year we've been working to use the SCATE strategy, and each letter stands for a different step. So SCATE is an acronym. The first S right here stands for situation. The situation means like what is going on in the problem, what's happening. I like to think of it like a story. Who are the characters? What are they up to? If you understand the situation, it helps you figure out what to do to solve it. The second step is the K, and that stands for know. What do you already know? This is a great time to go back into the problem and start looking for numbers that they told you, things that you know because of the problem, but also consider things that you know about life. For example, if they say things like splitting something equally with friends, you might say, I know about that. I've had to do that before. Or if they say somebody did something over the course of a week, you might say, hey, I know a week is 7 days. So know includes both the numbers in the problem and what you already know about reality that can help you solve it. The A in SCATE stands for asking. This is all about figuring out what are they asking you to do in this problem. So in the asking step, we go back and circle the question or task words and then underline the question itself or the task itself. What are you being asked to do? This is also the point where we use our for operation strategy and we ask ourselves, are we being asked to add, subtract, multiply, or divide? So you'll see me use this strategy as we're solving these. The T in SCATE stands for try it. Once you've figured out what it is, the situation is, what do we know, and what they're asking of us, it's time to try it. This is similar to solving. And then the last step, the E, stands for explain. You need to explain the answer. So decide, did they ask you to tell a number? Are you being asked to figure out which one is bigger? Are you being asked to figure out who did something? When you explain, you are answering the question that they asked you or doing the task that they asked you, and you're answering with a whole sentence. So we're going to be using this SCATE strategy as we work through some example problems. Let's take a look here at this first problem, but to get started, I am going to set up this shape. Sometimes we call it a 4-box or any of those things, but this really helps to organize our thinking, and I'm going to label it S, K, A, T, E. This is going to help me remember to do all the steps. All right. So the first step is S for situation. That means I need to read the problem and figure out what is going on. Kyle ordered a bag of Hi-Chew online to share with his friends. The bag has 1,237 candies in it. If he and his 7 friends share the candies equally, how many Hi-Chews would they each get? So to think about the situation, I need to think about who is in the problem and what are they doing. So in this problem, I've got Kyle. I'm going to draw a little dude and put a K on top. That's Kyle. And we know that Kyle got a bag of Hi-Chew. I'm just going to write HC to stand for Hi-Chew. Okay, I can picture that. I get the situation. Kyle has a bag of Hi-Chew. Then I'm going to think, what is he doing with it? So he has this bag of Hi-Chew. Oh, and he's splitting it up. He's going to share it with his friends. Share with friends. Okay, so I understand the situation. I've got Kyle, he's got a bag of Hi-Chew, and he's splitting it up with his friends. Perfect. So now that I did the S strategy, I need to do the K strategy. What do we know? What are some facts in this situation? I'm going to go back into the problem and look for things like numbers and other words that give me math ideas. Kyle ordered a bag of Hi-Chew online to share with his friends. The bag has, this seems important. The bag has 1,237 candies in it. I'm going to underline that whole thing. Okay, so in this bag, there's 1,237 candies. If he and his 7 friends share the candies equally, we've got he and his 7 friends. So if there's 7 friends and Kyle, I know that that really means 8 people. So I might draw a line. 8 people. Because he and his friends are sharing it. Okay, so that's what I know. I know how many candies are in the bag. I know how many people are splitting it up. And I know that they're splitting it equally. They all have to get the same amount. So for the S step, we figured out the situation, and I drew it out right here. For the K step, we went back into the problem and looked for facts that we need to use to solve it. So now I'm on to A. What are they asking me? What am I trying to solve? And I'm going to go back and I'm going to be looking for question words. I noticed this last sentence. If he and his 7 friends share the candies equally, how many Hi-Chews would they each get? I'm going to circle my question words. How many? When I see how many, I know my answer is going to be a number. It's going to be an amount. And I want to know how many Hi-Chews would they each get. So they're asking me to figure out how much would each person get. So now that I've found the question and the question word, I'm going to draw my thinking frame for my 4 operations. Add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Now I know that anything on this side means I'm putting stuff together. And anything on this side means I'm breaking it apart. So the first thing I need to think is if he's got this bag of Hi-Chews, is he putting together bags of Hi-Chews, or has he had that one bag and he's taking it apart into groups? Well, over here we drew the bag and I've got arrows coming off to all the people. So I know he's doing something to take apart that bag of Hi-Chews. I can almost picture that. He opened it up and he's taking Hi-Chews out of it. So I know that I'm somewhere over here. He's taking it apart. Then I have to think about the next part of it. Is he taking apart one group or a bunch of different amounts? Or is he taking apart the same amount over and over? Since he's splitting it equally, I know he's taking apart the same amount over and over. So I'm not subtracting, I'm dividing. By looking at what's asked of me, I can figure out what operation to do. Now, it's time to try it. I'm going to go with 1,237 candies. That's what I'm working with. And I'm going to divide that by 7. So I'm going to put it on my place value chart. Oh, wait, I'm not going to divide by 7. I'm going to divide by his 7 friends plus Kyle. I'm going to divide by 8. So now that I've got that figured out, I'm going to do my division. Looking here with my 1 in the thousands place, I can't divide by 8. I can't make a group of 8, so I'll make 0 groups. I didn't use any. I've got 1 left over, and I'll move it next door. That leaves me with 12. If I have 12 in the hundreds place, I could make 1 group of 8. That would use up 8 pieces, and I would have 4 left over. Move that one next door. Now I'm working with 43. I'm going to think of my multiples of 8. I could start right in the middle. 8 times 5 is 40. That's really close. 40 is close to 43. The next one up would be 48. That's too big. So I can make 5 groups of 8. That would use up 40. And I have 3 left over. And that gives me 37. And 37 divided by 8. Well, I know it can't be 5 because that's 40. I'm going to go down a group. What would 4 times 8 be? Oh, that's 32. Perfect. I can make 4 groups. That would use 32. And I have 5 left over. So I should get an answer of 154 with a remainder of 5. Since this is a word problem and I want to make sure I've got it right, I'm going to check my work. To do that, I can multiply 154 times 8, and then I'll add my remainder back in. 8 times 4 is 32, to carry the 3. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 3 more is 43. There's my 4. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 more is 12. And then I'm going to add in my remainder of 5. And I got right back to my original number of 1,237. Perfect. So now I know my division is correct. I solved it in the try it step. The last step is to explain. I've got to think about the question, think about the answer I found, and explain it in a reasonable, logical way. I'm going to go back to the question. How many Haichus would they each get? So if I'm trying to say how many they would each get, if I split that up, I would be able to give them each 154, and then I have this remainder of 5. So if I think logically, that means I can see that each of them have a pile of 154 candies, and then there's these 5 left over that they didn't split up. That wouldn't be fair. So for my explain, I could write, they would each get 154 candies. And then I can add the remainder in there. I can say there would be 5 left over. So I explained the answer. I answered the question being asked of me. This is the work that I'm looking for from you when it comes to solving our story problems or our word problems using multiplication or division. This is an example of the SCATE strategy, and I can check off explain, and I should have checked off the A for answer. So the next video that you see, I'll be going through these steps again, and with each problem, I'll go a little faster.